A stroke is no longer just an ailment that strikes the elderly. People in their 30s are hit too, according to the Stroke Support Station, which has seen a 20% jump in cases among younger adults over the past decade. CNA's Rachel Teng speaks to S3's executive director, who shares key trends from his new study.
Yeah, the earlier you get a stroke, the more it will cost to your life and to the economy as a whole. The impact of a stroke on someone that has caregiving duties, as opposed to a person who may be very, very senior in his or her age, I would say the burden of care is very different. In our study, we have found that the proportion, or more like the numbers of younger stroke survivors has increased by about 20%, right? And we're talking about, in the past, it used to be, say, in your 70s or your 80s, you get a stroke. But now we are seeing more and more people easily in their 50s, 40s and even 30s getting a stroke. And we are also seeing a trend where the incidences of the more serious type of stroke, which is the hemorrhagic stroke, occurring in younger people.
Are there any specific facilities that S3 has to support younger people?
There are a few things that we actually do, and one is in our recovery program, which is our stroke-focused rehabilitation program. We are really focused on performance and recovery, right? Because we understand the challenges that younger stroke survivors face. You're too young to say, I can live with this impairment. I can live with just doing very little and just rely on a helper forever. The other thing, besides our rehabilitation program, is we realize that there is a gap in community fitness. As a young person, where you want to continue to work on your fitness to ensure that you don't get a recurrent stroke, and they go to a regular gym to work out, and sometimes they face barriers. Imagine you are surrounded with the sight of very fit and extremely muscular, like gym goers, and for yourself, you've just recovered from a stroke, right? And being in that environment can sometimes be very demoralizing and very alienating, right? So environment is one. The other one is equipment. So not all equipments are safe for use for someone who has just freshly recovered and gotten out of a stroke. And we'll be setting up our first adaptive gym in Ang Mo Kio Hub, slated to be open about early next year, 2026. And so this is where we hope to see a community of stroke survivors, especially those who are younger and wanting to recover more and maintain their fitness, be members of this gym, where they will be able to exercise in a safe and supportive environment.
So we've talked about age. So are there any other specific demographic profiles that are more susceptible to stroke, such as ethnicity or gender?
When we looked at the national statistics, we saw that the Malay-Muslim community has an earlier onset of stroke on average of 65.8 years old, right? As opposed to the Chinese community, where the onset of stroke on average is about 71 years old. So that's a difference of 6 years, and that is actually something that we are noticing that is a trend, right? And we also saw from the statistics that the Malay-Muslim community is at a higher risk of hypertension and as well as of having higher BMI. So these could be some of the reasons why this is happening.
So I understand that men form the bulk of stroke cases, 60%, but it's also a big problem for women. So are there any disparities in the amount of resources that each gender receives, and are we plugging any of these gaps?
Women are always expected to play the role of caregiving. They are the persons usually running the households and getting everything in order, right? So when a stroke happens to them, the caregiving abilities just, expires overnight in a household, and that really affects the entire family. It affects the dynamics between husband and wife, It also affects the dynamics between a mother and children or daughter to senior parents. We will be gathering women who are in these situations to learn skills to help them to cope in their recovery and their reintegration, and really is to bring women who are facing similar challenges in their stroke recovery journey together, and to give a platform for them to voice out their views and also to alleviate their burden.
My last question to you is S3 looking at any novel approaches to stroke recovery?
One of the areas that we have been thinking about quite seriously is to complement the wisdom of TCM, right, with Western medicine. TCM, in terms of acupuncture and certain massages and therapy, can help to remove or reduce the spasticity and tone, right, in stroke survivors, so that they can have better movement and outcomes during the rehabilitation program when they're doing it using Western science,